Never ceases to amaze me how Oda creates a living, breathing character that is the city of Water 7. One Piece, Chapter 324, Adventures in the City on the Water.
Lucci and Polly and Lulu and Tilestone. So many names to remember, and I don't know which ones are going to be important or not. Well, hello, my brothers and sisters of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim, and I'm here to bring you another review on the awesome and the water-filled and just fantastically wondrous tale of One Piece. Our last chapter, of course, saw us actually pulling into Water 7, docking, and then really kind of getting this sort of seeing what was going on over at this Dock 1 and seeing this Galley-la company of shipwrights and carpenters and builders just trash and trounce and beat the shit out of these pirates that were unwilling to pay their bill for the repairs that were done to their ship. So very cool stuff, and that's of course where things left off. Things pick up right back on at shore, and it's and Usopp, Luffy, and Nami have, with the big bag of treasure, decided to go and disembark and go into Water 7 and see if they can find like a currency exchange type place. That's actually what they refer to it as, where they can exchange the gold in for cash, and then also to be pointed in the right direction and to get into the area of town, wherever it may be, that they need to go and find the shipwrights, the shipbuilders, to fix the Going Merry, and to find this iceberg character that they were told about. So, which obviously we know from the last chapter is part of this Galley-la company. So, very, very cool stuff. And as the chapter starts out, and really for the most part, this entire chapter just does a lot to go and actually build and develop the character that is Water 7. The city itself is real cool. They wind up coming upon this this area where it talks about like a rentable company, right? And they have no idea what it means. And actually, the guy that's there is pretty cool. He winds up talking to him. And he says, "Oh, you came here by a log post, so obviously you're not, you're like tourists. You don't know about the bulls." And he explains that there's these animals basically you can ride on. They're almost like water horses, I guess you would say. And there's three different classes: the Yagara, the King, and I don't know, forget the other one. Maybe the other one was a bull. I don't know. But they're basically different sizes. Different people can see them. They put seats on them, and they're actually like these little water taxis, because of the fact that Water 7 has more water roadways than actual roadways you can walk on. You need one to get around there. So very much like the canals in Venice and whatnot. And but just has its own unique flair and style to it. It's great, So they wind up going. There's some bantering about changing in the treasure or keeping it and this and that, for the time being. And Luffy's like, "What? You don't trust me?" And they're like, "No." He's like, "I feel like you don't trust me with this. Like I'm gonna lose it or something." And we all know that Luffy, for all his good intentions, can be very dim-witted when it comes to things like that, and really has no concept of money or importance when it comes to certain things like that, material things, because in his mind it's just like, and they're like, "Well, but what if pirates come upon us?" He's like, "Well, we're pirates." It's like, you're just drawing more attention to yourself with this huge bag of gold that you're carrying around with. And he's like, "Well, it'd be the same if we had money on us." And they're trying to explain to him, no, the money will be smaller and we can keep it on our person as opposed to dragging a big bag behind us. But nonetheless, though, that's Luffy. You gotta love him, and you gotta love some of the quirks and characteristics that all these characters have. So while they're exploring, while those three are kind of exploring the town and trying to get to their destination, and now they actually rent a couple of these water taxis, and they're actually riding on these Yagaras. And it goes back to, and it shows Zoro and Sanji left on the ship. And Sanji's like, "Where's Robin?" And Zoro's like, "I don't know. She went to, I guess, do some shopping. She went with Chopper a little while ago." So Sanji's like, "Really? Just me and you left on the ship? God, that sucks. That's boring." And Zoro's like, "Yeah, no shit. How do you think I feel?" So Sanji's like, "I'm going to go into town and check out some this and that, guard the ship, right?" And Zoro's already sleeping by the time he has a chance to say it. He's like, whatever, just watch it. So Sanji's gone. Zoro's left alone at the ship, which comes into play at the end of the chapter. But again, the rest of it, though, as you're going through with Luffy and Usopp and Nami, it's just a wonderful sight to behold. And the mind and the creativity of Oda is just, it really, I mean, it's second to none, because you look at just some of these different areas, and while Alabasta to me wasn't very, it was kind of just this sort of flat desert kingdom, you know, kind of a cliche type of backdrop. You've seen the desert, that sort of thing. And Skypiea was entirely different, because obviously all the system they had there, the inner working system with the clouds and everything else, you know, just the sense of adventure, the feeling of like an Indiana Jones type thing as they were going through ruins. And then this is just a completely different look and feel. It's so neat. The train on the water, just everything, the way it works. You wind up seeing they use the locks in the waterways that were very similar to locks here in the States. You can go into an area, you take your boat in there, and then what happens is they actually close down the one half of it, and they actually fill that with water. It raises you up to the top, and then you can come out the other side. The locks or channels here, basically they're part of smaller dams is really what they are, and it's so boats can still get past that area. Obviously, though, if you have a wall there, you wouldn't be able to normally. So we wind up seeing one of those. Luffy takes a little side trip with his Yagara over there to eat some water meat, which is supposedly very scrumptious. He gives some to the Yagara too, because he wants it as well, or Yagara, however you want to pronounce it. And really, that's kind of, like I said, what this chapter is about, them working their way towards, where the shipbuilding center is. As they go up to this, and then of course the shopping district too as well. I believe the business or shopping district is where, is where everything, where they would have someone. This guy that rented them the Yagaras explained to him that there is a currency exchange close by, but they probably won't have enough cash to change in all your gold. So you'll want to go to, and I believe he said it was like the more or less like the business, the commercial district, the commerce district. So that's where they're trying to get to, as well as obviously getting towards these shipwrights. But as they come up out of this lock, I mean, just awesome. You see, and I have to flip a couple pages back over here to go and show you, but I mean, just a sight to behold. Some of the drawings that are done in here. God darn it. And now, of course, I cannot find it. Figures. Bothers me. Oh, there we go. But just some of these sites are just beautiful. The way that they're drawn, the way that they're depicted. And this is obviously where they're headed now after they went through the lock over there, or whatever you want to call that. And then they wind up coming upon the aftermath at Dock 1 of what happened with these this group, this Galley-la company, taking out these pirates and what have you. And Luffy's kind of like, what's going on? And I explained to him, the shipbuilders, the carpenters, they beat up these pirates. And Luffy's like, oh, really? Cool, I want to meet them, But it's neat because that's where you go and you see these different characters. You see, oh, Lucci, he's so cool. Where's Paulie? And Lulu, too, so gallant, That's what a real man is, right? Oh, if you're talking about a real man, it's got to be Tilestone. And they show the faces of these different characters, which were ones from that double page spread at the end of last chapter, where you had, of course, the Galley-la company. So my feeling is that some of these characters now are going to be developed and play into this whole Water 7 arc. Don't know, though, so we shall see. The last page of the chapter is really cool, though, because if you remember Zoro, this is where it plays into Zoro being left on the ship alone. Zoro's snoozing on the ship, right? And all of a sudden you go and you kind of see on the ship, and you see somebody over top about to nail him with a sword or whatever, right? Well, Zoro, even when he's sleeping or drunk or anything, he doesn't really get drunk. He doesn't really fall into it. It's all reactionary with him. He just blocks it with his swords, and then you get to see this great shot at the end, and he's just like, who are you? Who are you? Identify yourselves. So someone has obviously gotten onto the Going Merry and is planning on, attempting to rob Zoro, kidnap him. I'm not really sure, so we'll certainly see in the next chapter. My chapter question for you, though, brothers and sisters, is really, I guess, I asked a little bit about thoughts on Water 7 and even the design of some of these guys from this Galley-la company in the last chapter. But my chapter question in this chapter is, what are your thoughts now that we've seen kind of the infrastructure and the actual working system with the waterways and everything? What are your thoughts on some of that? What are your thoughts on the Yagaras, the bulls, these different kinds of, basically like more or less like horse fish that allow people to ride on them and allow to be like, like taxis, or less water taxis. What are your thoughts on some of those different things? And then just the overall design now that we've seen the inside of Water 7. Leave your answer to that question in the comments down below. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button if you should think that I deserve it, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We will look forward to catching all of you in the next Fun Nation.
It just felt like a Nami day today. Anyway, if you like this sort of thing and more, follow me over on Twitter and Facebook and even my other channel.